Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. I'll be your formless, fearless host, Dave Trumbore. And joining me, as always, is the giant rock ape known as Sean Paul Ellis. How you doing tonight, sir?
David, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing pretty good. Unfortunately, dear listeners, Matt Barron cannot be with us tonight since he's training to fly cargo planes. We do have some good news for you, though. We have a very special guest with us this evening, and I'm going to let Sean introduce her. Take it away.
We have a good friend of mine. We have Lura Barber, who is joining us from Washington, D.C.
Woo, welcome to the
Hey,
show.
Laura, how are you?
I'm great, Sean. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. We're very excited about this.
My pleasure.
Today, we have watched and we are going to be discussing the Herculoids.
Yes.
And to give us a little bit of history, Dave, why don't you fill us in?
Oh, I think I'm gonna do that. This was my pick. I wanted to go with something a little bit older. We've hit the 90s pretty hard in the last few months now. We touched on the 80s quite a bit too, but this one comes from 1967. So well before any of us were born for this show. So we definitely had to kind of reach back
Well
and check it
before
out.
well before good television.
Well
right?
before quality control and
Well-
budgets and more than
Money,
one
this
voice
is
actor.
before money.
Oh boy.
Ugh.
Hey, but during a time of Saturday morning cartoons, which is great. So yeah, this television series, created and designed by Alex Toth, was produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions. As soon as you see this show, as soon as you see the intro pop up on TV or on your computer, you could probably peg it as a Hanna-Barbera production. There's a lot it has in common with like Space Ghost and Johnny Quest and a lot of the action-adventure cartoons from Hanna-Barbera. And we'll get into the history of sort of the voice acting a little bit too, and just kind of how Hanna-Barbera Productions handled that in maybe not the best way, but definitely the cheapest way possible. Good times. This show debuted September 9th, 1967 on CBS, only had one season of 18 episodes. Now, I gotta check, it was the 18 episodes, like 18 half hours, or was it 18 of those 11-minute episodes?
It was 18 full episodes, but 36 segments.
Okay, cool. So each episode, as they call it, was basically 25 minutes long, and it had two segments that were anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes long. And so it was kind of like just these little mini stories. And honestly, as we get into this show, 11 minutes is a stretch. Like that is more than enough because they recycle the shit out of some of this stuff. So that was a stretch for them back in the day. It looks like it was syndicated for a year or two. It ended in 1969, and then oddly in 1981, new episodes were made. So 11 new episodes were produced in 81 as part of the Space Stars show. I didn't really look into that too much, but I feel like that was probably tied into some Space Ghost stuff and some kind of resurgence with some of those cartoons. But hey, maybe for a future episode, we will check that out. That's pretty much all I have on history for right now. We're going to talk about the voice cast and stuff once we get to the characters. So, to tell you what the show is actually about, more or less, I'm going to turn it back over to Sean.
So the Herculoids, they defended their planet from menaces on. Now this is a little bit weird.
Yep.
Now the planet that they were on was called Amzot, but it was later renamed Quasar in the Space Stars
Right.
series. They are. I want to say Amzot is sort of it's very Earth-like in nature. It's interesting. Watching this show, you realize that there is not a ton of character development.
Oh boy.
Uh,
I'd say zero. I mean, I'd be
I was gonna
comfortable
say
with saying zero. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, although I have to say, I think the blobs get a little more character development than some of the human characters like Terra.
Yeah, definitely.
ugh. Yeah, I agree.
Or Tara. I don't know what her name
I
is.
think everybody but the three main characters was able to glean some type of character development, or at least have some type of emotion, other than just like, oh no, which is what happens in certain cases. It's
Certain cases, all cases.
all cases. It's terrible.
Every
It's
case
really-
imaginable.
I think every episode is like 90% like animal grunting.
Yes, thank you.
Or...
I don't know if you heard us talking earlier, but that is verbatim what I said to Sean earlier. I made a note to myself, like literally 90% of the show is sound effects.
And like the same animations of
Yes.
the animals doing things.
Just recycled over and over again.
The other 10% is them talking about exactly what is happening at that exact moment. They're like, there are currently robots here, and there are robots all around. You're just like, just shut up with this exposition.
Yeah,
Like, it's
just
enough. I
brutal,
get it.
bold-faced
I get it.
exposition. Yeah, it's like if you're a blind child watching this show, here's what's happening.
Like, I felt like every time a character got dropped from somewhere or thrown off a cliff, it was like they fell for a sufficient amount of time for another character to be like, my God, they're falling. Or like, ha, they're falling.
Yeah, exactly.
The temple fingers evil character thing.
Well,
yeah,
I
they
mean,
had plenty of time to
I mean,
just like issue a directive, like, oh, that guy's falling, and it's probably going to hurt when he hits those rocks many stories below. Perhaps one of us should help him.
Perhaps one of the blobs will become a parachute or a mattress.
Or a trapeze, or a cushiony thing, or anything you can think of, because it's just a shapeless
beanbag
blob.
chair,
Yeah.
whatever the hell he wants to become.
Yeah, I love when Dorna, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but I love when Dorna was just chilling on Gleep as a beanbag chair while Igu's like chopping wood, laziest
hands behind
kid.
his head like he's getting blown,
Yep.
and he's just fucking relaxed.
Yeah, he's Tom Sawyering that thing. He's like, oh, keep it up.
It's amazing. It's really, I want to live a lavish enough lifestyle where I just lay on other animals.
And you just wear a cod piece and just let your long blonde hair blow in the wind and just just lay back on Gleep thingies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that if I do this, I have my eyes have no whites.
Yes,
in
please
them,
just have your flesh
I'm
go
just
right up to your pupils, because that. Oh, I'm glad you caught that, because that creeped me out.
freaked
Man.
me
It's
out.
creepy. It's so creepy.
It took me I did an actual double take watching this because I was like, that's weird. Is that real? Like, because at first I saw it for Dorno, and I was just like, that's an odd choice.
Yeah, you think maybe
I
it's
was
like an
like,
outtake or like a rough cut or something. No.
Yeah, does like Xandor or Tara have the same? Oh yeah, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
Like
It's like
nobody
Children of
has.
the Corn.
Yeah, it really
What?
was Children of the Corn.
Dorno is like a child of the corn.
Yeah.
They should have left them in that damn field, because these people are pretty terrible. I mean, not in the sense of the show, but just like they're just flat and they're irritating, and I don't know why these animal creatures, their animal army as they call it, I don't know why they put up with them, to be honest with you.
I don't understand that either.
You were right if you just be like, smell you later.
And just hulk your way
That might be
out of
what
that
he's
situation.
saying the entire time. Yeah, he just grunts all the time. Maybe that's what he's saying, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, thanks. I did just get my hair cut." Like,
I mean, like in a lot of his instances, like, what would you want him to say? What would you like? I mean, I've tried to. I know we were getting super off topic.
That's fine.
This is great. Like, I was thinking about this, and I wrote this down earlier. Like, I summed up Herculoids in like 3 lines. I was like, there are no stakes at all in terms of what they do. There is no planning or strategy.
in one rare
regarding what
instance,
they
there
do.
was. One instance, there was.
And there is only war.
Yeah.
But the thing that confused me is that there is war with absolutely 0 stakes. Like, at any point in time, their life is never in danger. Anybody that tries to trap them or shoot them or do anything to them, like, nothing hurts them. Like, nothing seems to affect them.
Look, and that's a good point. I think maybe save that for our actual like episode discussions, because we can use that theme to kind of dig into it a little bit and then pull instances from each of the 4 episodes that we watched that definitely talk about that, because there are instances in each one of those episodes where it's just like, yeah, nobody ever really feels like they're in mortal danger, and all these villains are just ridiculous.
But
and
yet,
ineffectual.
every time somebody is in danger, you get Dorno. He's just like, that person or Zach is in danger. You just shut up.
Well, how else are you supposed to know?
What do you do?
Yeah, he tells him exactly what to do. He just lays it out like a blueprint.
Tara, what's happening, Dorno? All right. One thing I noticed about Dorno, going back to the voice actors, is that he has this very familiar voice, and I looked him up on IMDb, and he was a pretty prolific child actor, and I feel like if you've seen, some after-school movies made in the late '60s, you've heard this kid's voice. Did you guys feel that way?
He did sound familiar, but I couldn't place it. Like, if you asked me to be like, okay, who is this? I would have no clue. I mean, I'd tell you it sounds familiar, but would we know him from anything?
I I know the actor from just looking at like his name, but
Right.
I had no idea of like what he actually like what his body of work is.
Anything that people would know, like anything
Well, I
recognizable?
mean, just from I mean, so the voice actor for Dorno was it Teddy? It was Teddy
Ted
Eccles,
Eccles, yeah.
and he I mean he was in quite a bit. Like he was in stuff like MASH. I mean, it seems
Side of
like
the
he
Mountain.
yeah. The Munsters, Mr. Ed, like you know he did a lot of like he did a couple feature films, and it seems like he had like a bunch of like cameos on like different TV shows that were popular, like anywhere like from what was it like 62 to like 77. So I mean, like he was a working actor
Yeah,
during
he
that
had it
time.
made,
So I
dude.
mean,
He
yeah,
could he
great.
could literally afford to just like lean back on a beanbag chair made of an alien gloop creature and just
Yeah.
chill. He had it made. While we're talking about voice actors, though, I really want to talk about Mike Road, who I've never heard of before, but I really should have because apparently he's done a ton of work on TV and I think in some features as well. Unfortunately, this is the late Mike Road. He passed away in April, I believe, of last year. But he does not only the voice of the lead character, Xandor, who we'll talk about these characters in a second, but he does most of the creature voices that we've been making fun of so far, which
Yeah, I
is
know.
insane because they're all just like balls to the wall, screaming rage noises. Like there's no finesse to them really. It's just like these guttural noises and screams. So like we mentioned, Hanna-Barbera apparently did not just like have him come into the booth for every single episode and record specific scenes of dialogue for whatever they were going to be doing. They just gave him like a template, just like make these noises and then we'll pay you once and that's it. We're just going to use them for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But you know who else? He also voiced another Hanna-Barbera character. I'll give you the show, Johnny Quest. Do you know who he voiced?
Oh,
Uh,
was he? Yeah, he did Race
he did
Bannon.
Race Bannon. Yeah, I was gonna give you a hint, Dasho Pepper, and see
Oh,
if you could connect the dots. But yeah,
I mean, how can you
how
not
can you
with a
not
handsome
connect?
gentleman like Race Bannon?
Yeah, Mike Road, Race Bannon. So well done to you, sir.
Uh,
Unfortunately,
Thank you.
gone too soon at the age of 95. Pretty good career though. I think he had a decent run. Yeah, him and
So,
Teddy Eccles.
just in terms of the summary for this show, I mean, I look. I mean, these people, these three
Yeah,
humans seem to be human of regular intelligence. Like
yeah, average.
they don't seem to
No,
be super smart in any way, shape, or form. Um, like the strange thing is that like everybody seems to have an idea of how to use all of this complex alien technology that they come into contact with, but the planet of Amzot is completely devoid of any, or they're at least attempting to make it void of all of that type of alien technology.
right.
Um, and so it's just it's hard because like you without much like character development, like without much like attachment or without like much of a I don't know I want to say like an emotional range. Like it gets very hard
Yeah.
when you're watching this to empathize with anything that's actually going
Oh
on
yeah.
because you're just like,
Mhm.
ugh,
No, it
like
devolves very,
there's
very
nothing fucking
quickly
here.
into just action sequences with no depth or no emotional interest whatsoever. It's just a bunch of weird action sequences which with a
Yeah,
bunch of recycled scenes over and over again. So yeah, by about the third one, I was starting to get kind of worn down already, and that was only about
yeah.
30 minutes into it total.
And
So
we watched four
yeah, we
episodes
did.
total, so that was a little over like 40 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But by like the half an hour mark, I was kind of like, oh no, what is going on here? It's
yeah,
I
same.
thought the last one was a little more dynamic and got a little bit more interesting in the structure of the battle scene.
All
I'll
right,
give you
all
that
right.
because like Sean mentioned earlier, they have no like no strategy. They don't do anything. They just smash stuff up. And for the first three episodes, they do that. In the fourth one, which we'll talk about later, they finally do kind of like maybe not meet their match, but they do use their human average intelligent brain for a second to kind of figure that out. But we'll talk about that in a second. Do you
So
guys? Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, this show, like every other cartoon, had a theme song,
There we go.
had an intro,
Hmm.
and so I, Laura, I have posited that the theme song tells a lot about the type of show that you're about to
Hmm.
watch. And so the thing that's interesting about this is that there are actually two different theme songs
Yeah, apparently.
or intros that they have. One is the full orchestral composition
Right.
of just a lot of like the fighting scenes that you would see throughout the show. And Dave,
Oh boy.
buddy,
Oh, here we go.
could you do an old-timey
Oh.
newscaster?
You don't want the island voice.
I don't want the
Ah,
island voice.
damn it.
You do a terrible Jamaican island voice.
I don't even want to hear it from you. People who heard our last episode are like, God, never bring that back. Just let it die.
Sorry, can't. You gotta spin it.
Oh boy.
But
Don't
Dave,
even
I would
tease.
love to hear. So there was one opening that had a decent amount of narration, and Dave, I would love you to walk us through it.
I shall do my best. Yeah, we don't have the music for this one. I'll see if I can find it and put it on our site. I wasn't able to find this alternate version, but apparently there's an alternate version with the following narration. You ready?
I'm ready.
Somewhere out in space live the Herculoids, Zoc, the laser ray dragon, Igu, the giant rock ape, Tundra the tremendous, Gloop and Gleep, the formless, fearless wonders. With Xandor their leader and his wife Tara and son Dorno, they team up to protect their planet from sinister invaders. All strong, all brave, all heroes, they are the Herculoids.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Thank you very
Bravo.
much. From the Bronx.
Bravo,
From the
buddy.
Bronx there at the end. I don't know what that was.
I like it.
The Bronx Herculoids. Hey there, they're the Herculoids.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey,
You
them
know,
Herculoids,
forget about it, Herculoids.
The
Whatever.
book.
Yeah, we got that Zoc. Yeah, he's a real piece of work.
Well, I mean, this. I will say that watching the orchestral intro,
Yeah.
kind of, it oddly enough, it kind of put me in the mood for sci-fi. Like there are just like
Yeah.
very signature like kind of sci-fi tones that are apparent in the intro. Like I got a little bit pumped up, kind of in the same way that like whenever I would watch like the old like Star Trek like intro. That
Sure,
I'd be
I
like,
could see that.
Okay, cool. Like I'm into this. Like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I did not see, or I did not have a chance to watch the intro with narration, and it's I mean it's fine. It's just one of those things where it's just kind of like the theme song had to tell you who these people are.
Right.
Otherwise, like it would take you 2 or 3 episodes to be able to glean like, wait, who the fuck is?
Well, that's the thing. Like in the first episode, even like Dorno was giving out his instructions and directions to his fighting friends, but the way that it's cut, he's saying the name of one of them, and it cuts to one that is not
Yeah,
that
is
name.
not
So
the-
it's just like you could be easily confused by what
Cheap
the hell's
ass
going on.
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah,
crap.
right. Just cutting it left and right. But well, now that we've talked about those characters in a broad stroke, why don't we?
Can we dig into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with the humanoids,
Shit
even
all
though
over
they
them.
are just the least interesting people you'll ever meet. They really
Okay,
are.
so here's the question
Yeah.
that I have for the both of you. All right, watching this, did you get any sense, of a family structure between these 3, like just dumb humanoids?
Not at all.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's like Tara. So Tara's the mother, Xandor is the father, and Dorno is the son.
Correct.
So from these 4 episodes, what I have gleaned is that Tara stays near what I assume is their home
Sure.
in a kind of tree-like cave structure.
Yeah. Sure.
Xandor is either atop a cliff or on the branch of a large tree
Yep.
when he is called. And you really don't see Xandor unless shit's going down and people need Xandor to come and save them.
Right.
He's got shit to do.
He's a busy guy.
Hey, do you remember his chosen mode of transport? If Zoc
Oh.
isn't available, how does he get to places?
How could you forget it? Because it is the same bit of recycled animation over and over and
But
over
it's
again.
so good.
Of
I
him
don't blame
jumping-
them for using
Him
this over and
jumping
over again.
and ricocheting in between vines.
He's like a spring-loaded Tarzan. He just
Vines, yeah, strung like guitar strings.
Just, I wanted to strangle him with those vines.
I love that he doesn't. There's 3 of them hanging there, and he doesn't just like bounce from one
Yeah.
to the next and done. He bounces at least 5 or 6 times between these things.
Dave.
Like, just get on with it.
Dave, you understand science. You understand physics.
I do.
Like, you have to build momentum.
I know. This show, I apologize for taking them to task
Sadly, this
for
show
their
builds
strong
zero
scientific
momentum.
foundation.
Ugh.
So,
All right.
one of the things that's really struck me, after I watched these 4 episodes and then I read the synopses, which we have not actually gone through yet for
Right.
each of the characters,
Right.
is that none of that is apparent at all in the show. I had to look and see, were there episodes before where all of this was laid out and
Right.
I had sort of missed something. But it just sort of go, the first episode, which we'll talk about later, really is kind of like in medias res. Like,
Yeah.
when I feel like that term is almost too sophisticated to describe.
It's okay. Sean has used it before for this show, so you're
Okay,
you're right in line.
Yeah. And yeah, it's there's no, you don't really get a backstory, either explicit or implied. Like, why are these humanoids or humans? Why are they flung together on this planet with these creatures? Why did the creatures feel loyalty to them?
Yeah.
Because Xandor is a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll go into that later,
Oh,
but
definitely.
he's a total dick. And I don't think Dorno or Tara have much to recommend them either.
No, definitely the personality lies in the creatures themselves. And I mean, it's still pretty sparse, but they have a lot more than these humans for whatever reason. I don't really understand why, but yeah, I'm very suspect of Wikipedia and any kind of like fan sites for the information on this show, because I feel like they're just reaching. Like, they're almost making their own fanfic. Like, oh, that's what they meant to be, where the show was just like, there's no depth to it whatsoever. It was just a straight up action show. So I don't know how much of that rings true.
In my brain, I created this story without reading any of the character synopses,
Right.
where like Xandor was just a dude that was just hanging out on this planet, and Tara just happened to be there, and like Dorno was like this weird adopted kid they found like under a palm tree or some shit. Because like, at no point do they show any like familial relations with one another. Like, Dorno
or just emotion
calls
in
his
general.
dad
Yeah.
Xandor.
Yeah.
He's like, Xandor, what are we doing? And Xandor's like, Dorno, shut the fuck up. Like, it's like, that's the dynamic. Like, they use first names the entire time, and so you get very little feeling of a family structure or even how they relate to one another.
Now, apparently this changed in the 80s, so Dorna did just say, Tara and Xandor rather than mother and father, but this changed in the 80s revival, probably because somebody was just like, what is this a family? Like, are they just weird people hanging out together?
Yeah,
Are they
how
like
somebody read this and watched the show and was like, this is garbage.
Yeah. Like, this is terrible. We can do better. Just call them mother and father, and the problem is solved. Everything is fine. Yeah, they're not really worth talking about. Who are worth talking about? Those critters. I love these critters. Give me your. I want Laura to tell us who's your favorite critter of these guys, and why.
Goodness.
And then do the
Oh yeah, trying to make the sound. Oh man. Oh boy.
Into him like.
What's the name of the pterodactyl creature?
That's Zoc.
Zoc.
The flying space dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, Zoc is pretty great. Flies as fast as a spaceship, as we learned.
That's right.
In the episode. You can ride on him, as Xandor does at some points, as does Dorno. And I get a little confused sometimes because they would say like, Zoc, like, go over there and get them. And I'm like, you're riding on Zoc. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Like, they get this like, oh, we're gonna split up. I don't know. The continuity, not a strong point.
Not anywhere to be found. Just cut to ribbons.
Because I feel like, when you think about the creatures, you've got Zoc, this, what's the description again?
Flying space dragon.
Flying space dragon. You've got the creature that is sort of like a rhinoceros with 20 legs.
Tundro.
I'm not going to remember the names.
That's fine.
Then there is the blob creatures.
Is Gleep and Gloop.
Who, I hope this is your favorite, because I want to hear you do that, Elias. And then there's the rock ape, who's really persistent. I admire that quality. But I feel like Zoc, he's nimble. He can shoot beams out of his eyes, and then in a piece of animation that gets used
Oh
repeatedly,
boy, does it.
reverse, depending on what battle it is.
Yeah, they
and
just flip it around. Yeah.
the beams out of his eyes, and then the next shot is a little further back, and he curls his tail around, and then a beam from his tail. And you see this in the course of 4 episodes, minimum 4 times.
Oh, bare minimum. I would say a dozen easily.
And I'm gonna do the Zoc noise.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
That was amazing. If your speakers just blew out, listeners, I apologize, but you've just been blasted by a space dragon. So deal with it.
Sorry, listeners.
You just got the nega beam.
Oh,
You're
you got
lucky
nega
I'm
beamed.
not blasting out my tail.
Here's, again, where I call Wikipedia, I am suspect of their information. Because, okay, all that makes sense. You can watch him actually do that in the show. But then they say things like, Zoc can survive in space unaided. He is capable of interstellar travel and can breathe fire. I don't think I've seen any of those things. Maybe he breathes fire later on.
He did that in, what was it, in the Sarko the Arkman.
Did he really breathe fire?
Episode. Because they, what was it, when Dorno gets kidnapped, they're sitting around and they're just like, oh, like what planet is he? Tara asks like, oh no, like, Dorno's been kidnapped, to the planet. They say Zodan, or I think it was Zodan or Sodan.
It was Zodan.
It was Zodan. So they're like, Dorno's been kidnapped by Sarko. That means that they're on planet Zodan.
Oh, I totally missed that. Okay.
She's like, what are you going to do? And he's just like, bitch. And like gets on the back of Zoc and then flies off into the sky. There is no discussion at any point. Like, you have to, like, I went back to watch this because I was like, here was, in my brain, I was just like, wait. They really have not explained what planet they are on.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And now they're saying there is, like, I went back to look for the specific word choice that Tara uses, which they are on planet Zodan. So I'm like, she would not say planet unless they were on...
Yeah,
if they were on the same terrestrial body,
right.
She wouldn't put the word planet in front of it. Like, she is a woman of, they are humanoids of average intelligence. So, like, she used this correctly, planet Zodan, and then... he just, like, without any words, just, like, jumps to the back of Zoc and is just like, later, gotta go.
No, I totally missed that.
I want to highlight this particular exchange as an exemplar of the gender politics.
Oh, boy.
In the Herculoids. And I'm just gonna lay it out there.
Please.
So the scene, they're at the home front where Tara is frequently found. And I believe she says something like...
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, what is it, Xandor? And then Zoc says, or the blob says something to Xandor, and Xandor's like, I think you're right, gloop. And then the pterodactyl, Zoc says, ah! And that's when Xandor hops on the pterodactyl and flies the fuck off. So basically, a blob,
mm-hmm.
and a space dragon
mm-hmm.
have more agency and frankly more rounded characters than Tara.
Okay.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, I actually thought
you'll get no argument from either of us there,
Laura, I actually thought that in this exchange you were going to say the fact that Xandor says something to Gleep or Gloop, it doesn't matter.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And Gleep and/or Gloop is standing next to Tara and splits up into like 6 different Gleeps or Gloops around Tara in order to protect her, and Xandor just goes, "That's right," and then jumps in the back. I was just like, "Wow, what the fuck?" Like, this was some crazy. I mean, like, here's my question.
Shoot.
Is this sexism? Like, is this sexism in the show where they're just trying to convey to me the message that, like, that Tara, this, like, sort of Amazon woman on this, like, Luddite planet,
mm-hmm.
all right, that, like, she is not somebody who can rescue or like her son or fight or do anything, that she needs to be protected by these things. Like, I mean, because there's a very very male and female role on this planet, and Tara falls clearly, obviously, into the female category, and like they find ways to emphasize it to the point where I was just kind of like, I'm a little uncomfortable with
Yeah, and they don't even do it with just the human characters too. Like they use, like you just mentioned, like Gloop as like a protector, and definitely Igu as a protector, and then she
Yeah.
rides Zoc on occasion, but it's usually like to get her away from somewhere, not like to go off and
Right.
rescue somebody. I think in my memory though, like she does become more of a fighter. As the episodes go on. I could be completely wrong with that. I just, maybe it's like my optimistic memory trying to be like, oh no, she wasn't totally just a sexist object and completely helpless in this cartoon. I don't know. We didn't see a whole lot of that though. We didn't see a whole lot of
Yeah.
positive empowerment whatsoever in
And again,
1967.
it's one of those things where like there's little to no interaction or history that is ever conveyed to the audience in this show, so you have really no idea of what this family dynamic is.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
basically
That
just people on a planet.
that was so frustrating to watch this and not understand what the family dynamic is in the fucking family that is the main character.
And here's the thing, like it's a cool setting. They got a cool kernel of an idea here. They have really neat characters. There's just no depth to it whatsoever. This is one that I'm surprised wasn't ever tried to like be rebooted again. I guess they did it in the 80s, but it was about pretty much the same. I'm surprised they didn't try to do it a newer version of it with like a family centric cast and message and actual morals or something at the end of these tales, because there are no PSAs, there are no lessons to be learned at the end of these episodes.
Nothing.
Xandor just shuts it down. He's just like, it's over, we're fucking done, and we're moving on. Get over it.
Just saying. The end of the first episodes, I mean, I'm going to jump ahead a little
That's fine,
bit,
that's
where
fine.
there's
Please.
treasure. There's treasure buried in the earth.
Yeah.
So the episode opens. So I'm just gonna kick it off.
No, I
with
love this, so
episode
we'll go
one.
right into this
This is
episode.
what this. Dave and I talked about this previously. This is one of our favorite bits. So
Okay.
please,
So,
Laura.
okay. So I'm just gonna say something about the beginning and the end.
Sure.
And then we can talk about the middle part all the way out. So one, it starts off with a spaceship that looks like a Hitachi magic wand.
Nailed it. Perfect.
Flying- Which, for those of you who may not be aware, is a very powerful personal massager. And inside this intergalactic vibrator is an alien whose name I don't recall, who fucking hates Xandor. And that is basically how every episode kicks off.
Yeah.
Is some creature who you don't know comes in and says, "Oh, this is Xandor's planet," and that's how we kick the action off. So you learn that it's reasonable to hate Xandor, but you kind of wonder why everybody else does. But in the end, so the ship lands, it buries some treasure in what looks like a coffin.
Right.
And then at the end, Dorno says, "Oh, what about the treasure?" And Xandor, showing like zero curiosity, is like, "We'll just leave it there. I hope that nobody ever finds
Like, what is that?
the story." You know, it's like, curiosity killed the cat, son. Like, let's go back to the tree. Tara's cooking dinner.
That's pretty much the reading between the lines there, because that's exactly what happens. This planet is fucking littered with just like destroyed enemies and buried treasure and robot pieces. Just, man. So I want to go back to the beginning of this particular episode called, as you would expect, The Pirates. So these
Which
are
I
space
want-
vibrator pirates. Yeah.
Space vibrator.
As you do.
I want to like. I want to piggyback off of a comment that Laura made
Yeah.
that was so perfect about this, is that when, like, it seems like every episode, or it seems like in a couple of the episodes that we watched, it seems like there is a history between the antagonist
Yeah,
and the protagonist.
definitely.
Like, there is a history between these pirates, which that's all they're called, pirates.
Just pirates.
They're just called pirates.
One's the captain.
Like,
the other ones are just pirates. That's it.
Yeah, they do not have like, there is not a race. There is not like a specific name that they have. They're just called pirates. All right. So these fucking pirates, like they even say like, oh, this is where Xandar is, and like, and you get this sense that there is this like deeper, richer history. Like,
right.
Oh man, maybe these pirates have like stirred the pot before, and like maybe they're coming back to like, pick off the scab and like start shit again. But like none of that ever comes out.
Well, now here, let's look at the logic of this too. Okay, so we know that the space pirates and at least the captain and Xandor have a rough history. It's not like he's like, oh, we're going to land on Xandor's planet and go kick his ass because I got all these guards flying around in UFOs. No, they're just like, oh, let's land on Xandor's planet and bury our ill-gotten gain. Like, let's bury our treasure here and then hope that no one finds it. Like, why the fuck would you bury your treasure in your mortal enemy's backyard, basically? Exactly. So the logic makes zero point.
You realize that your mortal enemy is a total technophobe and isn't going to touch that shit anyway.
Well, I mean, they were right on that count. He sure didn't. But they weren't expecting to crash their massive vibrator into the side of a cliff. Because that happened. I love. Can I tell you
you're
this?
Talking about the very end of it.
Oh my god! Yeah, like so much shit happens to this ship over the course of the episode.
This part was killing me. All right, like, so what happens is Igu, like as I've written him in my notes, the line that I've used as reference to Igu is, which is way more than the name Igu, is murder stone gorilla.
Yeah, that's actually Igu translates into murder stone gorilla in the space language. Yeah.
So murder stone gorilla.
I love that.
Grabs the pirate ship. All right, by the
fucking engine.
Tail,
yeah.
By the fucking tail of the ship, holds it, and then throws it into the side of a mountain. Here was the best part.
Yeah.
Is that fucking the oh god, is that Dorno just looks at this and just goes, he didn't make it. In like the most monotone, and you think to yourself like, wait, like, is this?
No, they didn't make it.
Like, how telling is this? Like, he didn't make it in terms of like, he didn't make it to the escape pod and is like deceased, or like he didn't make it in terms of like his goals and objectives. Like, they just murdered this guy.
3 of them, 3 or 4 of the space pirates are now murdered on the face of this planet.
And nobody has an emotional reaction. Like, everybody sits there and is just like, oh man, they're fucking dead.
Dude, can I take this a step further? Because I wrote this down too.
Fucking Mark Wahlberg School of Acting.
Oh boy.
It's like, oh man, all right, cool, great.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Mark Wahlberg is going to play Xandor in the movie version of this.
Shut the fuck up.
It'll be great.
I hate you.
It'll be great. I'm going to take your line a step further, because I wrote this down too.
Please.
So, murderer rock gorilla throws vibrator spaceship into the side of a cliff. And like Sean just said, Dorno kind of looks at Xandor and he's like, they didn't make it. Like, very just deadpan monotone. Xandor looks right at him and he goes, they sure didn't. Like, what a cocky asshole. Yep, sure didn't. Those guys are fucking dead. I love that. And then a split second later, as they're all like riding home, they're like, oh, remember those guys we killed? No, I sure don't. But what about their buried treasure? And then that's where Lura says, like, no, fuck it, leave that treasure behind. Nobody cares about it. Hope no one finds it.
I mean, this really goes back into the thing that I said originally at the beginning of this episode, is just, there is only war for these people.
Yeah.
Like, they are constantly killing. Like, that's it. Like, they are murdering people. People come to... Every episode can be summarized in this way. Somebody comes to this planet.
Check.
They murder them.
Check.
And then do nothing.
Check.
So, like, that's the fucking... That's this whole
That's what they build
plot
around, yeah.
for this fucking show.
You would think that with such like a focus on war, that if you were the leader of this planet, which I guess Xandor is, you would have weapons beyond a discus and a slingshot.
Yeah. He's got a fucking shield and a slingshot.
Thank you.
And his little codpiece, because that's it. Just run around and boots and a codpiece.
Like, Xandor is like a poor combination of fucking Captain America and Dennis the Menace. Like, this fuck It's
Oh
just
my god.
like he has look a forge to make a sword
Right.
is too much technology
Yep.
for him.
Let's just
So he
grab a stick, and put a rubber band on it. Oh, it's probably one of
oh
his
my
stretchy vines
god.
that he uses. But
Jesus.
honestly, why do you need clothes, armor, and weapons when you have these like hell creatures as your army? Because they're fucking terrifying. I mean, they smash through
Yeah.
like plate steel. They can
Mhm.
throw spaceships. They shoot flaming rocks out of their rhino horns. They're space dragons that can shoot tri-beam mega lasers or whatever. They're terrifying. Leave this fucking place alone. Like, give it a wide berth, man. Steer
Mhm.
your galactic vibrator very far around this place. Because honestly, it's just their planet. You know, it's three
Right. They
humans and
they
these
are
creatures,
the
and that's
they
it.
yes.
Everybody else comes to them to start shit, and then they die, and then the planet just claims their bodies, and they are never seen again. It is a
That was it.
terrifying show.
At the end of the fourth episode that
Yes,
we
thank
watched,
you.
which is called Mechor, with these robots that attack them, they Xandor just they have destroyed these robots, or maybe it was the pod creatures.
No, no, no. You're right. It's
Uh,
Mechor.
Was it Mechor?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's the robots that look like paper shredders.
Yes.
Yes.
Just an army
So
of
like
paper shredders.
they beat the crap out of all these like paper shredder robots, and then like and Xandor is just like we'll just let nature reclaim them, and you see like a vine
Yeah.
like wither out and kind of like grab one of the paper shredder robots and just like snuggle it. Like
Oh.
it became Little Spoon,
Oh.
like to the tree's Big Spoon.
That's so
But I
cute.
mean like you were just kind of like, oh my god, like your planet is just littered with garbage from your war.
I literally
Like-
made a note during this episode that just reads Nightmare Planet because I would not want to go there. I wrote down the quotes at the end. So this was the one instance where they actually used that little bit of strategy because they couldn't
Get
quite
into it.
they couldn't quite
What are they
beat
what are they
these.
strategizing
Okay,
about?
so they couldn't quite beat these robots in the beginning. These spheres kind of drop. These metal spheres kind of drop on the surface of the planet.
Dave, I want to pause for 1 second.
Pause for 1 second.
Okay, they couldn't beat these paper shredder robots with. We need to specify this. They couldn't beat these paper shredder robots with just brute force.
Right, exactly. They
Like they couldn't just smash and bash their way out of.
which
the
they've been doing
situation.
for the previous 3 episodes.
They've done for every other episode.
So Igu he attempts it for approximately 7 minutes of this episode.
Oh my god, he
yeah.
smashes everything in sight.
Oh.
Oh, 7 minutes of a 10 fucking minute.
Yeah, exactly. Him just growling and smashing.
Ugh.
There was our Igu and Zoc. This is fantastic. It's like Mike Road is back among the living. So yeah, as Sean mentioned, they're smashing the shit out of him, and there's more and more and more coming, and they can't seem to put a stop to him. So Xandor, while riding on Zoc, is just like, man, maybe there's a power source to these guys, and if we stop that, then we can kill the rest of them. Well, he just happens to spot this tiny little like antenna sticking up out of the ground, which I'm
How
assuming is Mechor because they never say his name. I'm
They
assuming
don't.
he's the leader and he's Mechor, right? Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, to the best of my ability, from the name of the episode and how they present these paper shredder robots, that's my assumption.
yeah, you would assume he's Mechor.
I
Because
mean,
all
if
the
you
other
want me
episodes,
to write my own fanfic
I
about
definitely
it,
do.
It's gonna get real
I
sexy.
definitely do. Oh, but yeah, in the end of this one, they use a slight, ever so slight bit of strategy. They go for the power source. They basically, okay, you've got a space dragon that can shoot a tri-beam laser at anything and just like nuke it. Well, Xandor decides to throw his little bronze shield and slice this antenna in half. At which point, all the other robots just fall on the ground and they're done. That's it, done. So game over, right? Dorno says to Xandor as they're all flying home, "What's going to become of all these robots, Xandor?" Not Dad, Xandor. And like Sean said, he says, "They'll stay where they are, Dorno." It's like, fuck it, just litter all these dead robot carcasses just all over the ground. And then like Sean
I mean,
said,
you
the
would-
vine reclaims
Someday
them.
the
So
forest
creepy.
will claim them all again.
Oh, it's so creepy though. Nightmare
You would
Planet.
think that, like, at some point, after like all the war and all the battles and all the stress and trauma that they have gone through, that they would have like an area, like they would have like an ecological trash can where they would throw all this crap.
Everything is that though. The planet is a recycling. plant. Like that's what it is. It just takes whatever they kill and it feeds off of it, I'm assuming, and just thrives from that because you don't see anything from episode to episode. Now again, that's probably just reading into it.
Here's the thing.
Shoot.
I hate this plant.
Okay.
If we discover if we as and I'm not saying this just as being like a citizen of the United States, as we, a member of the planet Earth, discovered this planet, like if we discovered Amzat, I would lead a global campaign to just wipe this fucking place off the
Dude,
earth.
I say leave it alone. Don't even touch it. Just leave it alone.
You see what happens to people who try to fuck with Amzat?
That's right.
That's a good point.
That's right. Don't fuck with Amzat.
I understand their strategies at this point, which are zero strategies.
Yes.
So I'm 100% positive that I could win.
You just by yourself could win.
I mean, like I'm gonna need some money and some help.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, if that day comes, we'll just revisit this podcast and see what happens.
Please.
Oh boy.
Thank God none of this is a legal binding contract.
Yeah, none of this. I do love at the end of that episode though, Xandor with zero emotion and zero, like dynamic to his voice, says like, "Well, we finally have peace once again," and it's like it has been 30 seconds of peace for you. We jump from episode to episode. We don't see them doing anything else. The only time Dorno's relaxing is when Igu's like chopping firewood and Dorno's chilling on his little beanbag chair. But that's it. We don't see them do anything that is not just fighting or rescuing or barely escaping. Anything like that.
I mean, you've got to assume that at some point they've developed agriculture.
I mean, I hope, because we don't see them eating anything. These big old creatures got to eat something. I don't know. I don't know how this place works. It is a nightmare mystery to me.
I mean, what do you think they're doing?
I'm surprised they're not making more little Dornos, to be honest with you. He needs some brothers and sisters out there. He needs some friends, too. That's got to be a lonely place. You've got this angry, kind of cold and distant father figure. You've got this ditzy, kind of like two-dimensional mother figure. The cool thing is you got all these creatures you can ride around on and blast the shit out of things.
Yeah, so if you're a kid,
it's amazing.
This is a bitchin' place to be.
Best place ever. But you don't have any like human friends to hang out with. And Dorno's approaching adolescence. I'm assuming, he's looking for the space ladies.
I mean, I honestly did not Rule 30 for this in advance, but I'm assuming there's a lot of gloop and gleep.
I mean, there are some weird things with gloop and gleep, but not nearly as bizarre as you'd think for creatures of their powers and abilities and weirdness.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to say disappointed, because I'm usually disappointed when there is stuff.
You're disappointing me, Internet. You're disappointing me.
So disappointed. I'll be honest though.
DeviantArt.com.
Dude,
get on
the
it.
DeviantArt though, there's actually a lot of cool, just regular, non-graphic or disturbing fan art. There's a lot of cool fan art out there that makes me want to see this show like redone and done better, with sort of a modern look to it, and maybe an actual budget.
I wouldn't even say a modern hook. This show has a wonderful premise. I would just like to know more about the history and the interactions and why they're on Azimuth or Quasar, and why they're doing the things that they're doing.
Yeah.
And none of it's ever explained. There's no backstory or history. I know in a lot of these cases, like for some of these shows, they fill in the backstory and the history as necessary.
Right.
Because they've had one season and 65 episodes.
You're right.
But I really want. I had such high expectations for this show because I actually confused this show with a previous show that we had watched. And so when I had actually originally suggested, oh my god, that we watched
Thundar the Barbarian. Yep.
I thought Thundar was the Herculoids, and I got really excited. And then I discovered that it was completely something
It is
completely
not.
different.
Yes.
It is not at all.
And I thought we were going to talk about that a lot, like the similarities between the two. I completely forgot about it because it's not even close.
I mean, some of the animation style is very similar.
Ooh.
But not very.
Oh boy, this animation style. I love the fact that you just flip a scene left to right, and that changes the orientation of your space dragon.
Just give those mirror images.
Just mirror image. I love that if you want to make Xandor look like he's flying but not actually show Zoc, you just kind of like keep his orientation and then tilt it slightly. So it's not even like you're redrawing him, you're just slightly tilting him, so he just looks super awkward. This show, man, there's zero budget for this show. It was fun though. I mean, I had fun with it for a little while. In small doses, it's okay, I think.
I mean, I know that we're getting to the point where like we've discussed and we talked about some of the episodes, and so we're getting dangerously close to the do we recommend this?
Oof.
And I would say I recommend watching one episode.
But which one?
One segment. You can watch any segment
Because they're all the
of
same.
the show.
Yeah, they're
Because
the same.
yeah, if you've watched one, you've watched every single like episode and segment within the Herculoids. They are all copy pasta of one another.
Although there was a couple, there were 2 of the 4 episodes where you had these kind of like tie-dye psychedelic like interstitial. Did you see this?
I feel like I missed that.
I saw there was a weird wipe in the Pirates episode, which got me super excited.
Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, is that going to be like a thing?" You know, that's like a bit of a like little self-aware. You know, like, "Ooh, this is like a kind of a weird show." And I think they did it maybe in Mechor. There might have been something because one of the things I liked about the Pirates episode is that they had that little wipe, and that the chase scene had this real jazzy music.
Yeah.
That was kind of enjoyable. So, you know, if we're talking about like what I, you know, recommend it, there were things that were enjoyable. The overall kind of weird melange of the show.
Yeah, I think again it's a small dose kind of show. Like they're only 11-minute segments. You can watch them and just please walk away afterwards. Don't sit here like we did and watch 4 straight because it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But I feel like if you drop in on one, you're like that's kind of cool. But don't come into it expecting to have like a lot of backstory and a lot of history and a lot of character depth or any of that. Unfortunately, like there's the potential for that. It was just never touched on. It was just never taken to its full potential, which is unfortunate.
I think though, if you could go through all 36 little mini episodes and just watch the last 2 minutes and
just murder yourself.
murder yourself and get the Xandor quote.
Oh boy.
Because I wrote down the one after the second one, Sarko the Arkman.
Yes.
And where Dorno's like, what did he want, Xandor? He says, it doesn't matter what he wanted to do. It's evil. At the end.
This
The
fucking
end.
show. Damn it.
Xandor, he reminds me of just like a dad that's like he works hard all day. He comes home. He just wants to sit down, have a beer, have dinner ready, and relax. But every fucking time he comes home, walks in the door after a hard day's work, putting food on the table, these kids and that wife of his and these antagonists show up, the fucking space pirates, and there's always a problem. And he just wants to be done with it, and he wants to go back home to his beer and a football game. That's exactly what Xandor is to me.
You know what, Dave, I know you are romanticizing this,
Yeah.
but like the situation that you described of like coming home and only wanting to like relax and enjoy yourself and focus on one thing.
Yeah.
That is a fucking farce that Hollywood and television has sold us on for so long. It is bullshit. If you are an adult, you have to realize that there's always going to be something else. There's always going to be another.
There's always going to be space pirates.
Somebody's going to be the space pirate.
Pod creatures.
Somebody's going to be fucking Sarko and just fuck with you. And it might be as simple as like, oh, damn it, I'm out of fucking stamps. Like, but it's shit that like you're just like, God, I gotta fucking deal with this right now. Like, just get used to it. Like, being an adult sucks.
But here's what I love about how he approaches it, though. He's not like, there's not a lesson at the end of every episode. He's just like, it's over, it's done with, and we're going home.
Yeah,
The end. I am done.
And the pod creatures, he's like, right, let's go home.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Dorno asks a question, he's just like, yup. It's like, that's not a yes or no question. He's like, yup, let's go home. End music.
He is the father figure that's just like, you know what? I don't want to talk about it.
Nope.
Everybody shut the fuck up on the car ride home. Otherwise, nobody gets dinner.
I guarantee he's abusive, too. He's definitely
Oh,
abusive.
I
He's an
wrote
alpha
down-
male who's very
I
abusive.
wrote down on multiple times. I was like, "Is this an abusive relationship?"
100%.
I was like, "Is this?" I even wrote it down for the robot in Mechor, that he just goes, "Go and remove opposition. Obey only orders from me. Secure the hostages." I was like, "That's an abusive relationship."
Here's the
Those
thing.
paper shredder robots don't have to deal with that shit.
I think, okay, let's look at the villains real quick, too, because you've got these kind of like ineffectual pirates. Sarko the Arkman looks like somebody glued googly
Well,
eyes on a loaf of bread.
Looks like Ramona Quimby.
We had
Ooh,
those
I could
pirates
see
past
that.
tense. They're all dead.
Yeah, all the pirates are dead. Sarko the Arkman, I think he looks like a loaf of bread with googly eyes stuck on it. That's my take on it. The pod creatures are like weird bullets with rapey tendrils coming out. That was a little strange. That was unexpected.
They reminded me of the robot in Super Jail.
I have no idea what that is.
All right, never mind.
Well, for another day.
Hey, I also, what is Rule 34? You mentioned that earlier.
Oh dear.
Don't.
Just don't do it. Just leave it alone.
No, it's fine. We should explain this to,
Yeah, go for
to
it.
Laura.
And for any other listeners out there that don't know what we're talking about, yeah.
Rule 34 posits that if you can think that there is a type of adult situation between two characters, then there is indeed somebody who has created, through some medium, that adult relationship between said characters.
Basically, if you can think of it, it already exists.
If you could think of that type of porn, it already exists.
So we get in the habit of Rule 34 searching the cartoons that we cover just to see what kind of sordid and dark, twisted things are out there on the internet. I'm happy to say that this episode is not too bad.
Except for Herculoids, you guys do not disappoint.
Ooh,
Thank you.
Tailspin was rough. I still can't get those images out of my mind.
That was a weird.
Surprisingly
that was
dark.
weird.
Surprisingly dark.
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh boy. Anything else from the Herculoids? Anything else you guys want to mention?
I wanna mention my favorite part. I know we've kind of danced around this, but in the episode of Sarko the Arkman, at one point Sarko pulls a switch when he realizes it's his last chance.
Like a literal switch.
Correct.
Yes.
They corner him in his lair.
Yeah.
He tells Xandor that if he does anything to him, that he's going to pull a switch and it is going to release Dorno, and that he's going to fall to his death. Xandor is just like, I don't give a fuck, and shoots him with his fucking
little slingshot.
Fucking slingshot. It's such a it's so funny. He shoots him with his slingshot. Sarko pulls the switch, and Dorno. I can't laugh for this, but Dorno. I need to do my best impression for him. He just goes, "Oh no."
Oh no.
And begins to fall to his fucking death.
Oh no.
Again.
Oh, Teddy Eccles.
Again, they are doing. There is nothing but war. There are no stakes. Nobody's ever gonna die. Nothing ever happens to these people, and there is no planning or communication on anybody's on the part of anybody. Oh,
I feel like we were rooting for the wrong people. I feel like the Herculoids are like, you know how villains in stories always want to take over the world. They always want to be the one that rules the world. I feel like for Xandor, that fucking happened. Like, he was successful, and he just wiped everyone out. And these guys are now like, they're not bad guys. They're trying to come back and like reclaim a lost planet or take out this horrendous tyrant who is terrorizing the galaxy. I feel like maybe that's an interesting way to look at it. It's just unfortunate that all these antagonists are so weak and bread-headed and just terrible.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That's about it for the Herculoids, I guess. Laura, did you have anything else that you wanted to say for the Herculoids? Anything else that jumped out at you or stuck with you for better or worse?
Sarko the Arkman, I think, as the episode had my favorite moment at the end, where they're driving this ship back to the home planet.
Yep.
And all of the animals are in the back.
Yes.
And they're so happy to put the belts. Egu, I think, kind of like kicks his feet like a baby.
Yep.
Safety first.
I think that would be my recommendation is that if you watch one episode of this and you want to gather the full extent of the insanity of the Herculoids, watch Sarko the Arkman.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that one because it's got a goofy looking, terribly drawn villain. It's got Xandor being a straight up asshole. It's got Adorno being just a little jerk that gets in trouble. It's got everything and plenty of creature effects and
Yes.
roaring
Yeah.
and tail lasers and all kinds of fun
That is
stuff.
the one episode that I know Dave and I spoke about this. There are at least there's a minute's worth of just Zok just going
Yes.
and
Just
Nathan
screaming.
Booth just going
No, that's pretty good.
and that's it.
That's pretty good.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't wholeheartedly recommend this one, but I will say again, yeah, check it out just to see the creatures and see how crazy they are, and just see how cold-hearted.
Watch one episode.
Yeah, watch Sarko the Arkman. I think that's good. I
Yeah.
think that's good. Hey, guess what, kids? Now that recommendations are done, it's time for plugs. I'm going to be a kindly host and turn this one over to Laura first. And again, Laura, thank you for joining us so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about this terrible bonkers show. So I want to give you the opportunity to let the folks know what's coming up in your life, if they can come out and see you somewhere, if you're performing anywhere, anything like that. Anything you want to plug.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
Sure.
Yeah, well, if folks are free this Saturday at 10 p.m., Sean and I will be performing with our improv team, Knox, at the Washington Improv Theater's Seasonal Disorder. 10 p.m. at Source Theater. And you can buy tickets at witdc.org. Is that right, Sean?
That's correct.
Awesome. So we are performing there this Saturday, which is
The 6th, December the 6th.
December the 13th and December the 20th. That's at 10 p.m. And it's going to be a great show. We do a format that's like a TED Talk, but we do crazy things with it.
Very cool. Yeah, we've heard a lot about that and Knox's performances over the last couple of months. So hopefully we've got people in the DC area that can come check that out. Sean, do you have anything additional to add to those performances?
I really don't. Laura did a really good job of taking all my plugs.
Excellent. I don't even know why you're here,
Perfect.
Sean. Wonderful.
I'm
Why are you
not.
even here?
I'm not. I'm dead.
Oh, hey, I know why you're here, to ask me what I'm up to.
Hey, Dave. I have been watching a lot of wonderful adaptations of DC and
Pretty much just DC.
comic book adaptations. Well, I mean, Constantine was Vertigo.
True.
Right?
Oh, and Walking Dead, too.
And Walking
Oh,
Dead.
boy.
I mean, but that was Image. Or that is Image. So I've been watching a lot of really good television lately that I have been in love with, including over the last 2 days, there has been a wonderful Flash and the Arrow crossover. Tell me a little bit more about what you've been doing related to this, Dave.
Oh, hey, buddy, thanks for asking. And funny you mentioned it, I happen to watch the exact same shows, and I write recaps and reviews for them over at Collider.com. We are coming up to the mid-season finales for most of these shows. Some of them, like Gotham and The Walking Dead, have already come and gone. Walking Dead, people I think are still kind of like reeling from the results of that one, so if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check that one out. As Sean mentioned, Flash and Arrow, two great shows on the CW, surprisingly.
They are wonderful.
They're great, and it was a nice, fun, enjoyable crossover episode, two-parter that they had. A lot of fun, but it looks like for their mid-season finales, things are going to get pretty serious for both of those title heroes. So definitely tune in, and again, check out Collider.com for my recaps, where I do them each and every week. We'll be taking a break for the holiday season, but I'm sure we'll have some other articles about them coming up.
I'm also gonna. I want to throw this out there. Your reviews for Constantine have been great.
It's a fun show. I mean,
Yeah, I'm loving it.
they're in a
I'm really loving
They're
it.
in a bit of a weird situation right now because NBC has actually halted production on the rest of the season. They are stuck at 13 episodes. I don't know if they're going to get a second order or what's going to go on. So that's Friday nights if you guys want to check that out. And again, I recap that too. It's a lot of fun. I'd say check it out. You can watch them on NBC. I think they still have all the episodes up, and probably on Hulu too.
Or just go buy the comic book too.
Or,
I mean,
yeah, definitely
The
do
show
that.
is fantastic, but Hellblazer is a wonderful comic book if you haven't read
Yeah,
it.
and so much richer than the show probably will ever be because it probably won't get the chance to be. So yeah, check
Well,
that
I
out.
mean, like it's doing really like I'm enjoying it.
Good. That's good to hear.
So
I'm glad somebody's
yeah.
watching it. Excellent.
Great.
Hey, Sean,
All
where can
right.
the folks find you on social media if they are so inclined?
You can find me on Twitter and you can find me on Instagram. It's at Sean Paul Ellis.
And Laura, if you
And
want the folks to find you, where can they do so?
I'm on Twitter at Lura. So that's Lura, just twice in a row.
Excellent. Sean, did you have something else as a follow-up there? I cut you off.
Oh no, you were doing Dave. Where can I find you?
Oh, buddy, you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Claw MD.
Super smooth, dude.
Oh boy, we are professionals.
Oh,
Yeah, at Dr. Claw MD. However, if you want to find out more about this show, that is Saturday Morning Cartoons, remember that's morning with a U, you can find us at SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. You can find us on Twitter at MorningTunes. You can check out some of our shows, some recent commercials that are using like a bunch of toys and stuff from our nostalgic childhood. Sean's digging up a lot of great stuff, some fan art from DeviantArt too, safe for work, safe for the kids. He's showing all that off on our Tumblr page, which is SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. You can also email us pretty much anything you want if you would just want to drop a line and say hi, or make some cartoon suggestions. We've had some suggestions lately from some YouTube commenters, which we definitely appreciate. We're going to get a shout out list together soon, coming up for the holidays. So you can send that over to SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. If you want to check out our podcast each and every week, you can download it through iTunes and Stitcher. That's pretty much it for us. I think Sean has next week's pick, and do you want to let him know?
Before I jump into the pick,
Yeah,
I want
please.
to mention one of the things that we posted on our Tumblr is that a gentleman by the name of Alvin Lim
Yes.
is doing so Lego has this site that allows you to suggest an idea related to what Lego pack you should do next.
Right.
And so Alvin has suggested that for the 30th anniversary of a show that we have reviewed,
Correct.
which is crazy, called The Centurions, he would like to put together a Lego pack of the Centurions, and he needs your support. So if you go on SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com, we have that link that's available. That's there. Or you can go to ideas.lego.com and you can search for Centurions. But please help him out. I mean, it's a great idea, and the work that he's done so far, with just being able to create some of the prototypes, is just awesome. Like I'm loving the idea, and like I enjoy Legos as much as everybody else. I have not purchased a Lego kit in quite some time, but looking at this, I'm definitely interested.
Dude,
Like,
I would buy the Centurions one just because I'm such a weird fan for that show, and there's not a whole lot of stuff out there. Just the fact that he wants to like bring it back and make it Lego is really cool. They look
like
good.
The Doc Terror thing that he created is really cool. Like
Yeah.
it's just so fun to like. I don't know. I've just
So yeah,
man,
there's the plug.
nostalgia gets you so far, and I think that he's just doing a great work with this. So if you can support him and sign up for ideas.lego.com and help Alvin out, we would really appreciate it. And it'd be something cool to be able to watch and hang on to.
Hey Sean, do you
know,
think
for-
they're gonna make a Lego version of next week's show?
God, you know what? I don't. I do not.
Don't think so.
Oh man, we are going back to the late '80s as we tend to gravitate towards with this show. We are going to be taking a look, as Dave mentioned and Pimp Me Out, towards talking about my pick is next week. We are going to be talking about a cartoon that is it's an American science fiction series. Oh man, it is kind of crazy. It's called Spiral Zone. If you are a fan of Spiral Zone, you can find all of this and more. There are plenty of episodes of this on YouTube, especially the opening.
Whoa.
It
I had
is-
never heard of this show. That opening is just beyond words at this moment. I need to get myself together for this show.
I never watched this. This looked to me on par with like Exo Squad, or like something that like was very epic in nature. Now, I don't believe that they achieved or accomplished that dream, but I'm hooked, and I want to explore more. So
Well, we'll be doing that next week.
Hopefully you'll be interested in watching Spiral Zone and talking about it with us next week.
Definitely. And Laura, thanks so much again for coming on this show. You are welcome back anytime you'd like to come back and talk about zany cartoons with us. So
Thank you, Dave.
yes, thank you for having us. We're gonna let Sean do his intro to take us out tonight. And thanks again for listening. This has been Saturday Morning Cartoons, and we will talk to you next time.
Dave, Baron, we ride!